So welcome, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen. This is very much, we wanted to give a quick overview around, what OSL is, what we do, and what this new course that we're bringing out is, so that you have a chance to ask questions and have a short introduction to us. So let me just... So we are OpenStar Lab. We are a non-profit organization. We were started out of MIT Age Lab in 2014, originally as a public service project, and we were set up because we wanted to bring people together from many different disciplines. So we bring people from design, from engineering, from occupational therapy, and lived experience of disability to design together things that are functional and beautiful. And we saw a real need for this, as you may know, and you definitely do know from your profession, that specifically clothing is a massive barrier to many people with lived experience of disability, whether it's physical disability or challenges with cognitive or neurological disabilities as well. But I think what makes OpenStar Lab different is that we tackle this from a few different ways. We look at how not only the functional side of clothing, of practically how do you get it on, how do you get it off, the act of dressing, and that it is comfortable when you're wearing it, but also the importance of style and beauty in what you wear. And I think many of you know this with people that you've worked with, that style and design matters, that it changes the way in which someone will interact with what you're getting them to dress in, and it changes that whole experience. And we also see style different from fashion. We see style as something innate. It's about identity. It's about self-expression, and that it has also the ability to open doors. So with OpenStar Lab, what we do, the big bunch of what we do is around, as I've said before, is education. But we do this from a very human-centered design lens, and we bring people together from all these different backgrounds to work equally together. So I think what's very special about our organisation is that you learn through each other as well. An occupational therapist on our programme may be also making as well. We also know that you are often the original hackers and makers as well. We know that occupational therapy is rooted in craft in its history, but you lend that expertise to the group, but also you will learn skills as well. And wanted to give you a little bit of examples about things that we've done in the past. So yes, it is, we've done a lot of stuff around clothing and our educational program, but where we have often, collaborated with different universities, different institutions, and we really focus not only on designing clothing, but also how we bring in material expertise, how we bring in technology, and kind of push the boundaries around, what is possible, and to showcase that. And it's a lot around, I always describe us, I think what makes us different is that we're hands-on makers, and we understand that design process. And that's something that we've wanted to share more broadly. If you maybe can't do a 9-week to 10-week intensive program, how do you start to gain this knowledge? And I just want to also go back a little bit to, our work with OTs. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know so much about occupational therapy before I started working with OpenStar Lab. My name's Yasmin Keats. I'm the executive director of OpenStar Lab, and I come from an architecture background, but many of our team come from occupational therapy, and we really see, and I've gotten to know through working with your occupation, is First of all, your amazing ability to work collaboratively with others, your rigor with research, and how you really understand the body and you understand a lot of these needs already, and how you can give that overview and that balance to a group when working together. We've also done a lot of research, and in all of these, we always bring in OTs as well. This is an example of a recent one. I can put it in a chat. It's an open resource where we give tips around dressing and clothing hacks for people with spinal cord injuries. We've been featured in exhibitions such as the Victoria and Albert Museum, the Cooper Hewitt Museum, and this is part of what our mission as a nonprofit, to really raise awareness to the wider public and to raise this discipline and this expertise of co-design to the wider public as well. And we've also done work with many different industry partners. This is an example of something that we collaborated with called the Surface Adaptive Kit, which is an add-on kit for a computer device that can help to make it more accessible through tangible stickers. And that was maybe a quick overview, and now I'm kind of going into what you would learn with an OSL CEU hybrid course. And please, this is a chance to ask questions. So it's a two-part. It's the first one that we're doing, but we're really trying to give people that experience of an overall, a lot of the distilled knowledge that we've had over the time through a virtual part, where you'll learn around, definitions and examples of accessible fashion and inclusive design. What is your OT role in the design process, and how can you find the language and be able to transfer your skills into a design practice? And co-design and accessibility, the definitions and examples, again, where OT roles and approaches are placed within this methodology. And then we have an in-person component, where this is one day. And here we bring in people with lived experience of disability, our team, to take you through a kind of demo of what the design journey is, how to apply it, and how to put it in real time, and to get that experience of hands-on making and co-designing. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview, but this is a place that we really want to be here to answer questions. I have my wonderful colleagues, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves now as well, Amanda and Stacey, and to share a little bit about themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. I'm an OT and I've been working with OSL for 3 or 4 years now. I started off with doing research for them, and then I think when working with more of the OTs here, we just have always talked about how it'd be really cool to have a continuing education course and get the credits for it, just because we're learning so much through OSL and with each other. So we finally got through the process and we're AOTA certified now. So we're developing this course and we'd love to have feedback from everyone.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Stacy. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm also an OT. I'm based out of Chicago area, and I have been with OSL since the summer of 2017 when I did the fellowship. And then since then, I've just stayed involved, and I've always been really excited. I feel like each year we kind of keep growing and expanding, not just as an organization, but also the value of OT with designers, those with lived experience. And something that I personally have always been interested in is like OT out in the community, and that's what I feel like OSL really represents, and not just represents, but we actually are doing it. We live by it. I have plenty more stories, but this time is yours. So I love to hear of any questions anybody has. I'm happy to share more, but I can talk forever. So I'll leave it at that.
And I'm happy to stop sharing my screen and we can have more of a discussion. But I'd love to hear from you, any questions, what maybe attracted you to even signing up to this info session. And we can always go back to the slides as well.
I can go. I'm a new graduate, so
Mhm.
I've just been in the my 3 months was yesterday, actually. Yeah, I work in an inpatient rehab facility. So I have a lot of like strokes, spinal cord injuries, multi traumas, and now that I'm in the field, I'm really trying to like put my foot in the door for my career path,
Yeah.
and like designing product development. That's something I'm very interested in. But currently, as a new grad, it's so hard to find any education to support that, gain any experiences. Especially being in Florida, it's not like a huge like designer or like program like product development location. So that's how I found you guys and then you guys actually posted it like a week after I found you guys, so it all worked out. But I'm just like struggling a lot in the OT field to find any information on how to be in inclusive design and adaptive fashion, other than OSL. So that's something I'm currently struggling with.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And I think this is why first of all, why a lot of our team, to be honest, is occupational therapists, because I think you really see the value in the co-design process, but you don't get so much chance, from what I understand, to collaborate with people from different disciplines and lived experience in that kind of equal way. And I think that's why we are a place that you can do that. But we also recognize that maybe people can't commit to a whole, massive 9 weeks, and we wanted to find different ways of sharing this knowledge and giving that experience. Any other questions or comments?
Eora, my name's Tania. I'm sitting in today from New Zealand.
Welcome.
So, hi. I'm just really interested in the lab. I've been following it for quite some time. My background is not only occupational therapy, but also design, fashion design. I'm currently just starting my doctorate in professional practice. And I'm just really interested in what the lab is achieving, and just I realize that it's probably quite difficult for me to maybe be involved because I'm not American and I don't live in America, but I am very interested in your model, and so just sort of watching from afar, really. So it's really nice to be involved in these, virtual situations, which are so good, aren't they? I mean, so many more people can be involved. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Tanya, I think I've seen your name pop up a few times in different ways. So
Yeah.
I recognized your name. Um,
Uh, I
yeah.
think, well, I was in New York last year on a
Hmm.
holiday, and I made contact with
Oh,
you to see, like, I didn't realize that the lab didn't have like a physical,
yeah,
you know,
because
a
we
physical
operate by
presence.
a project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So
that's
I was hoping
recognizing.
to visit, um, but obviously that just wasn't in the timing. But maybe one day. But also, yes, I'm just always interested in what you're up to, and sending. I think I asked if perhaps I could be involved in one of the fellowships from a distance, that
Yeah.
because obviously I'm a New Zealander, but yeah, so that's probably why you recognise me, because I've been sort of in contact a bit.
Maybe one day in New Zealand, but I think we've been discussing this because the first one we did is, we're putting out this hybrid version because for us, we feel that physical component is really important and we want you to experience that. But we have also started to look into having hybrid versions as well because we know
Right.
that it's not accessible for everyone.
Mm. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Nice to meet virtually.
Happy to meet you.
I'm going
Hi.
to,
Oh, you go ahead, Chris.
okay. So my name is Chris. I'm actually a co-chapter leader of Makers Making Change in New York. And I think I learned about OpenStyle probably a few years ago because I'm also involved with Tom Tikkun Makers and
Yeah.
ADA in the city. So, and in the past, a fellowship, it sounded like a great idea, but working full time and trying to do that in the summer was going to be hard to do. And then recently I saw the posting, so I wanted to understand what you guys were planning for future CEUs. And I recently had a student from New York Institute of Technology OT program who wants to come to the school that I work in, the Henry Viscardi School, and do her doctorate capstone on adapted clothing. So I told her to try to get in touch with Open Style to see about the fellowship and if it was still going on, because she just contacted me actually probably like the middle of July. And hopefully that could turn into something over the next few months for her so she could learn a little bit more about adapted clothing, and then maybe I could get involved also with Open Style as an OT.
Thank you so much, Chris. And yeah, I know a few of those organizations that you mentioned, and they're wonderful. We worked with a few of them. Um, yeah, no, I think she would have just missed it because
Hmm.
but hopefully another year.
True.
And we're trying to think of different ways in which we can have people experience it or learn from it that isn't just in that format, because we know that, as you said, it's not doable for everyone within that time frame.
True.
Chris is also the Community of Practice Assistive Technology Chair for the New York State
Hi,
Occupational
Susan.
Therapy. I say that because
I,
I'm
I have a lot of
the board
hats.
liaison, and I've never seen his face before. I've only ever emailed him.
I think we've also realized there's a very wonderful community with the occupational therapists. We just had we're doing that. We've opened now in the UK as well, and we have our OTs in the UK team said, we'd love to talk and get some advice, and so we've made a group with all the OTs from some alumni from even across the pond from last year, and they're hopping on a call I think tomorrow night to help um, iron out some challenges that people may have. So we've recognized also the amazing community that you have and this collaborative mindset as a profession of solving problems together. And we just wanted to say that as an organization, you've been a really big pillar of our design process, and we really value you in the design process. And I think every design team should have an OT, but that's my point of view. And so finding ways of kind of sharing that, or even showing how your knowledge can be translated into design language.
I'm Rebecca.
Hi,
I'm
Rebecca.
I'm in Maryland. I work at a inpatient rehab hospital in DC, and I actually found you. I found this CEU info session from one of my former classmates because she had liked it or something, and I was like, "Oh, that just sounds really cool." And I just agree with Caroline that I think like I am very interested in working in like community spaces or non-clinical spaces. And I feel like you don't typically see people working in this space as much. I see a lot of people branching out to maybe like doing different sales for devices or like utilization review and such. So this just stuck out to me as something that's like really cool and really interesting. I guess my question is, you mentioned the fellowship. Can you explain how this is different than the fellowship and like how many days it would be?
Yeah, so this hybrid CEU it's just so it's what it says. It's 2 hours online, and then it's one day in person. From Amanda, and Stacey can speak more because I think Amanda, you were the one that crafted it, but it's
Yeah.
from how many hours? I'll let you continue.
It's a 6-hour full CEU course, and we divided it up to be, I believe, 2 hours virtually, um, we're thinking on a Friday evening and then a Saturday in-person portion. Just to reiterate what Yasmin was saying, that the hands-on making portion is like really important for this kind of work. So we're hoping to have everyone together in person in New York. I don't know if that's accessible for everyone, but let us know. Like we can try to work something else out too. And we hope to have more CEUs in the future that can hopefully be virtual for people in New Zealand or elsewhere to join. But for this first one, we're going to have it in person in New York.
Do we have any tentative dates for that yet?
Yes, actually, we're thinking around mid to late October. Um, yeah, are there any particular times of the year that work better for you to come up to New York if you're interested?
Um, my family's from New Jersey, so that's actually really convenient for me to go to New York. I grew up going to Manhattan like almost every weekend.
Oh, perfect.
Personally for me, like the end of October would be excellent.
Okay, amazing.
And we were thinking of doing the in person on a weekend because of thinking about your working schedule as well and things like that. But we'll be very open with you. You know, this is the beginning of us rolling these out. So if you have any feedback or also suggestions, you know, I know that we're also going to start working on doing a fully virtual one because of some people's situations. So we're at the beginning of this journey. Hi, Regina.
Hey, I had a question too. Yeah, I agree with kind of what everybody said about, being kind of interested in the space and not really finding a lot of resources in design. I feel like over the past few years that, I've just been trying to just search everything design related that, might be able to fit into. I'm currently in Texas, and I work a lot. I kind of do a few different things, but I work a lot with older adults with low vision. And where I've been able to find more inroads is like related to art, in the art space and accessibility and art. And then I also, some of the people that I've collaborated with that are artists have some of their experiences in the accessibility space. And so I feel like there's still like a big gap in between, and seeing how, my skills can kind of translate outside of that. So I'm excited about this experience, but I think also and I see the value in coming in person. I guess as far as like, the travel piece, just trying to like coordinate, like if there's travel resources, like places to stay or, any of that. 'Cause I don't go to New York as often, but, would y'all have that information for us as we, if we're planning to register for this or that you'd be able to share?
We could try find some things between us, but
Mhm.
we don't have anything official.
Okay.
I think we have time for one last question or comment. But I think what we're hearing from you is that there is this big gap, and I think Regina, I also see it that there is a lot of going on in the accessible art world as well, or I feel like it's very techy and hacky, and finding that bridge where design comes in. And what we've really changed with OSL in the last few years as well is bringing people with disabilities on as equal fellows, where they are equally part of the design process. And how do you also balance that, the dynamic between many different um, disciplines and experiences. And each we know occupational therapists, you have your own language, designers have their own language, engineers have their own language, and how do we translate between them so that everyone can work together?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't turn my camera on, but I'm Selena. I am from New York. I work as an inpatient and acute care therapist, and I'm also doing my doctorate at NYU. It's a post-professional doctorate in accessible beauty. So I'm just wondering, I'm as well always looking for resources to expand on my portfolio in terms of OTs in the accessibility world. So I'm just wondering, because I know Open Style Lab is very fashion based, just wondering if the skills that we're learning, especially the hands-on skills, are specifically fashion related, or is it going to be more broad in terms of co-creation?
It's going to be more broad. We're rooted in fashion, and we started in fashion because we felt that was most needed. 12 years ago, there was very little around adaptive fashion, but our methodology can be applied to any making scenario, from architecture to product design to furniture to fashion.
I guess one comment I have, if you reach out to the New York State Occupational Therapy Association, I think they might charge you a small fee, but then it would be broadcast out to every OT in New York State, OT and OTA. You don't need the CEU because they do offer CEUs, like certifying it, but if you already have that from AOTA, but then it would also, get networked across all of New York.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah. And yeah, and just make sure if you are coming in October, the New York State OT Association has their annual conference, I believe the 17th and 18th. I should know that because I'm a board member of this.
Oh, thank you.
Then
for
obviously
saying
everyone
that.
would be at,
Yeah.
not everyone, but a lot of people would be at that. It's, the 17th and 18th of October.
Okay.
That could also
Thank
be
you.
a blessing as well, to make it in line with it. Thank you very much, Susan, for that gift of knowledge. We're kind of wrapping up, but I just want to say thank you very much for coming on, and being interested in our work. And we'll send out kind of like an overview. We also have some links to different resources that you can get as well, that are on our website and part of our roster, if you're interested. And just stay up to date, and please contact us if you have any questions or ideas or thoughts, because we are trying to develop these courses or trainings or peeks into this way of doing the work, for as many of you as possible.
Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.